I'm going to show you why you shouldn't be afraid of tax and why in most cases you won't even be paying it if you're earning your own money, whether that be an online business, as an entrepreneur, or a 0-hour contract. Let's dive in. What's important to know is that you are paying tax on your profit. So as a self-employed person or somebody who's on a 0-hour contract where you're responsible for paying your own tax or national insurance, you're only paying what you have left over after you've paid for all your expenses. There are also allowances. For example, if you're traveling to and from a location for your type of work. But if you don't have any profit, then guess what? You're not paying any tax. Right, so let's get into these figures, because if you don't have any profit, you literally have nothing to worry about in terms of it anyway, or if you have a small amount. So let's show you these numbers. Here in the UK, if you have profit of 7,500, so that's basically what's left behind after you pay for all your expenses. This includes your own living expenses. For example, your electricity in your building, your rent, your food, your drink, everything that you need to pay for, that is your living expenses, plus your expenses that you need to pay for when you're doing the job or role or whatever you're doing. What's left behind after all of that, that is what's calculated towards this profit per tax year. So if you have a profit of 7,500 in the tax year, you will only pay £148.20. Now I'm working this out towards the UK tax brackets. That's the lowest amount of profit you need left behind so that you can pay some form of tax. Otherwise, guess what? You don't even have enough profit to pay for your national insurance, because that is the profit you would need in order to be applicable to pay Class 2 national insurance. You won't pay any income tax on this, and you won't pay any Class 4 national insurance. For the whole total of the tax year, you're then only paying £148.20. Now here in the UK, the tax bracket is probably going to be slightly a little bit more higher, because we have things like I'm not going to get into that, but we have various services that we pay for that the national insurance tax pays for. National services, for example. That's what your national insurance goes towards. For example, the health service. I'm not going to dive into too much with that, but that's what you're paying for with that type of tax. Next, the next bracket where you need to pay a different amount of tax is a profit of £10,000 per tax year. £10,000 per tax year, you will not pay income tax on this profit. You will pay Class 2 national insurance of £148.20, so the same as the last bracket. But you will also pay Class 4 national insurance, £165.24. So to give you an idea of the profit margin you will need in order to pay this type of tax. Again, most of you won't have to worry about having to pay this tax, because £10,000 in profit in 2024 in anything where you're trying to earn your own money and not through some form of usual regular employment, this is a lot of money for you to be earning in that way. So are you getting that profit in what you're doing? You don't have to worry about tax, most of you, especially when you're getting started in your first 5 years of business, because £10,000 in profit is not a regular amount that somebody earns in the first 5 years of their business. If you're managing to do that, then you're in a high percentage of people that are very successful in the field that you're in, if you're earning your own money and responsible for the sole earner of that money that's coming in towards you. £10,000 per year in profit. Think about that. The next profit amount that you will need to earn per tax year in order to pay the next type of tax here in the UK is £12,500 in profit per tax year. So here, in this amount of profit, you will have to pay here in the UK income tax of £200. You would then pay Class 2 national insurance of the same amount again, £148.20. And then you will also pay national insurance Class 4 of £390.24. This is a total of £738.44 in tax that you will pay if you have a profit of $12,500 per tax year. So again, most people that are getting started, you're not even earning that to cover your expenses, let alone amount of profit. Now it's the big boys, before you start getting into your VAT and all that sort of stuff. The next tax bracket means you're getting on a bit. You're starting to be more successful. You may have some employees at this point. The next amount of profit where you will pay a different type of tax here in the UK is £15,000. On this amount of profit per tax year, you will pay an income tax of £700. You will then pay Class 2 national insurance, the same as everybody else that is making a profit margin in these tax brackets, of £148.20. On top of this, your Class 4 national insurance will then be £615.24. Meaning that for the entire tax year, on a profit of £15,000, you will pay a tax amount of £1,463.44. Oh, before we go, another thing to mention, of course, is your country might have a different tax bracket because in terms of what you're paying for, because you might have a different national insurance scheme. Like your national insurance, again, pays for certain services that are available nationally. National insurance, that's what you're paying for. So you know, your firefighters and your hospital bills in terms of the UK, that's what you're paying for. Whereas in other countries, you might have a private health system that might work slightly different. Therefore, you might not be paying as much national insurance, or you might be paying for something else. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, just to give you an idea of how tax works. That's how I understand it. I might have got a few different things wrong here and there, but it's basic information that I wanted to give to you to give you an idea of how tax works. Give me a thumbs up. See you in the next one.